Hi everyone. In this video, I'm going to interview Sarah Chomette, a virtual advisor with College Advising Corps. Today, we're talking about how you can get scholarships. Sarah, thanks so much for joining.
Absolutely.
So, where can students find scholarships?
That's a great question. And there are multiple locations where you can find scholarships depending on the type of scholarship that you want or need. So many students use a scholarship search site to find national scholarships, and there are tons of scholarship search sites out there. So some of the notable ones include FastWeb, JLV College Counseling, and Big Future. But students should also check with their high school to see if their guidance counselor releases a list of local scholarships, because these can be a great place to start with less competitive scholarships or just scholarships where there are fewer people applying to it because not as many people know about local scholarships. And they might not be the highest dollar scholarships, but at the end of the day, $100 or $500 can really go a long way in terms of paying for college. Lastly, the company where a relative or a guardian is employed might also be a great place to look. They might have scholarships for dependents of employees. And corporations also have scholarship opportunities too, notably the Coca-Cola scholarship and Taco Bell scholarship too.
Great. So, how many scholarships should students be applying for?
Another great question. So there's no set number of how many scholarships students should apply for, but generally a minimum of around one per month is a great place for students to start. It's also important to note that students should continue applying for scholarships after they've been accepted to college, because you can always get scholarships while you're in college to pay for current or future costs.
Great. So, hundreds and sometimes thousands of students are applying for the same scholarships at one time. So, do you have any tips on how students can create applications that stand out from the rest?
Yes. So just like with college applications and college essays, it's important to be yourself in order to stand out for these scholarship applications. And many scholarships require essays as part of the application. And this is a unique opportunity to stand out from the crowd because the written word really allows for your personality and creativity to shine through. So one of the best ways to do this is by showing instead of telling, which you might have heard, from English class or from teachers just talking in general. But when answering a creative prompt or inputting your personal statement, it's important to provide the reader with a story instead of just telling them about your goals and accomplishments, because that can be kind of boring and it makes you get lost in the crowd just a little bit. Additionally, there are 4 major things that you want to incorporate into an essay, whether this be for a scholarship essay or if this is just for a college application in general. But the first one is going to be about your values, sort of like sharing what's important to you as an individual in your essays. The second is going to be vulnerability, making sure you're being open and honest about your feelings and emotions so that the reader can really feel a connection to you. The third is going to be insight, letting the reader know, why is your story important? You're answering that so what moment. So why am I telling you this? Why am I applying for this scholarship? And lastly, it's going to be craft, which is the most important in my opinion, which can just be summed up by, did you actually reread your essay? And did you put any effort into the revision process?
Great. So, are there any scholarships that students should be wary of and maybe try to avoid?
Absolutely. So you should never pay to submit a scholarship. There are scholarships like scholarship programs where you pay $2 and you get access to a lot of scholarships. That's not what we're talking about here, but if you have to pay to submit a scholarship, that's definitely something that you should be wary of, as well as any scholarships that are asking for credit card information and especially social security numbers. There are very few reasons why a scholarship would require a social security number, and those are normally just going to be for those high-level, high-dollar, well-known scholarships. So if you ever feel uncertain about if you're applying to a legitimate scholarship, you can always get a second opinion from a guidance counselor, from a teacher, Google if the scholarship is a scam, or just decide, hey, I'm not going to move forward with a scholarship. There's tons of scholarships out there, and there's always more to find.
Great. So can outside scholarships, I'm speaking about the types of scholarships that are offered by companies and organizations, can those take away from the amount of financial aid that your college offers you?
Absolutely, this is possible. And what you're referring to here is something called aid displacement. So as a college student, you are required to report outside scholarships to the college or university that you attend, and you can only receive enough money to cover the net price of the college. So let's break down what the net price is, because that can be a little bit confusing about what exactly that means. So the net price refers to the direct and indirect costs of attending a college. Direct costs are what you pay directly to the college, so that's pretty simple. And this includes things like the tuition, the fees, the room, and the board. And the board is just a fancy way of saying your meal plan, basically. And then those indirect costs are things that are attributed to college, and they're still costs of attending. So transportation, are you flying to get to your college? Miscellaneous expenses like personal hygiene supplies and textbooks. So a financial aid package from a college can have aid coming from a variety of different sources. And if you have your entire cost of attendance for a college already, they just won't hand you a refund check and say, here's, an extra $5,000 that you get to pocket and use for whatever you want. Instead, you have the option to replace specific types of aid, like work study or loans, with scholarship money. It's important to note that this is not true for every single college, so you'll have to double check and make sure that your college allows for something like this and see what their personal policies are on this. But let's break it down into an example, because I know aid displacement is a little bit of a confusing topic. So for example, if a school expects you to take out $5,000 in loans to pay for college, but you later receive a $5,000 scholarship from an outside source, it's possible to replace those loans with that scholarship. So you're not taking out loans, you're just covering this cost with scholarships instead. It's important to note that this does not mean normally that you can replace the family contribution with an outside scholarship. You'll definitely need to check with the school, but in most cases, the family is still expected to contribute a certain amount to attend college.
Great. So lastly, are scholarships taxable? Will students have to pay taxes on their scholarship awards?
So this is a tricky question, and the answer is yes and no. It's going to depend on how the scholarship money is being used. Particularly scholarships that are used to cover room and board and transportation are normally taxed. In these cases, the college will normally provide a W-9 form for the student to fill out, and then the student will receive a 1099 form, or if the money goes directly to a college, they will receive a 1098T form as part of their taxes. So if you have additional questions or concerns about this, definitely reach out to the prospective college, to their financial aid office, or to the financial aid office of where you're currently attending, and sort of ask how that scholarship money is stacking up for you, and if there's anything that you need to make sure that you're aware of.
Great. Well, thanks again, Sarah, for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And for more interviews like this, please subscribe. Have a great day, everyone.